Have you ever had that weird uncanny valley feeling about someone? Like the person you're looking at is human, but at the same time just isn't? Like they're human enough to fool most people, but if you look close enough, there's just enough in there to cast doubt. Maybe they have a slightly larger face or cold black eyes. Maybe their limbs are just a little too long. Well, I'm here to tell you that that person was most likely not actually human, or not a homo sapien, that is. The theory I'm proposing today will be a counter to the popular sexy Neanderthal theory proposed by Professor Sam O'Nella. In Sam's video, he explains that he believes that it was due to sexual selection that Neanderthals interbred with humans, eventually leading to extinction through interbreeding. This occurred because Neanderthals, being more muscular and having more masculine defining features, would outcompete the homo sapien counterparts for females. And the defeated homo sapiens would copulate with the Neanderthal women because they would take what they could get. I disagree with the idea of the sexy Neanderthal theory and propose my own scary Neanderthal theory. That is that the reason why we still to this day have the uncanny valley feeling is due to the fact that hidden amongst us reside Neanderthals, and I believe that it's only a matter of time before they launch a global species war against us. So first, the uncanny valley. What is it and why do we experience it? Well, it's a fear response that is designed to obviously protect us by having us react by either fighting or fleeing. Logically, this means that humans who can evoke this emotion in us are, to our instincts, dangerous at the very least. Now, why would the humanoid-looking Neanderthals evoke a flight or fight response in us humans? Well, it turns out that Neanderthals had the habit of eating other humans, which would logically mean they would be eating homo sapiens too if they were able to get their big meaty hands on them. Evidence that points towards this is that skeletons of Neanderthals were found with bone damage indicative of teeth marks from other Neanderthals, as well as bone marrow extractions. This would put Neanderthals one step above homo sapiens on the food chain at the time, so the uncanny valley response would be a prey response to a literal predator. They also had similar vocal cord structure to homo sapiens, but lacked the intelligence required to form complex speech. So they would be able to say words and speak, but in a very basic infantile way. Almost like how skinwalkers take the voice of their host to try and lure in other humans. Now picture this. You're just a normal caveman chilling in your crib, and out of nowhere a strange man is at the entrance of your cave. He keeps making human sounding noises that sound like speech, but they have no rhyme or rhythm and they're directed at you. He slowly creeps towards you as you aren't really able to do much until he's right in front of you. He has larger limbs and a larger face than you. You look into his cold black eyes and you see nothing. No light, just darkness. While he's in front of you, you slowly begin to realize that he's not human, or at least not the type that you're used to. And, as it slowly reaches out to grab you, you realize the grave mistake you've made by not immediately running and hiding. Yeah, I can kinda understand why we have such an instinctual fear of things that are not quite human. And it's because it quite literally kept us alive. Now obviously, if these Neanderthals were going around eating us and making us terrified, it would cast a lot of doubt on the sexy Neanderthal theory, as the idea of being attracted to something you find dangerous and horrifying is doubtful to say the least. However, we do know that there was at least some genetic admixture because we have around 0 to 3% Neanderthal DNA in us today. Now there are probably many complex reasons as to why this would occur, being that due to genetic diversity, some Neanderthals may appear as not as scary, or maybe some of the homo sapiens didn't have the uncanny valley instinct, thus leading to interbreeding. Maybe it was just because some of our ancestors got freaky like that. Yeah, no, I'm talking out my arse. It's definitely because of the thing behind me. Like, it probably was the reason 99% of the time. Now, this still doesn't explain where they all went, because if my scary Neanderthal theory is true, then that means they weren't just bred out of the population. And here comes the second part of my scary Neanderthal theory, and why I think that there may be a global homo sapien / Neanderthal war on the horizon. Okay, this part is very speculative and may sound like the ramblings of a paranoid schizophrenic, but just bear with me, okay? It does make sense. A little. Kind of. So I'll just come out and say it. I think that the Neanderthals are actually the Abrahamic figures known as Gog and Magog, and that they are the people that were trapped behind the Caspian gates by Alexander the Great. Now, if you aren't familiar with eschatology, let me quickly explain. In all three Abrahamic religions, there is mention of a tribe or two tribes of people known as Gog and Magog, or Ya'juj and Ma'juj. They are described as a people who are very similar to humans, only slightly smaller in stature but more muscular. They also consumed human flesh and fetuses, and were very primitive compared to other humans at the time. Already, as you can see, there's quite a lot of overlap between their descriptions and the descriptions of the Neanderthals and their dietary behaviours. They lived in the land near the Caspian Sea, although it's disputed where exactly. In scripture and religious commentary, it is believed that Alexander the Great desired to explore the world and happened upon a land that was being ravaged by Gog and Magog. He then works with the blacksmiths and metallurgists in the land to create a large copper wall that separates the tribes of Gog and Magog from the other tribes in the land. And that's where they are today until they eventually claw their way out and break out from the gates, at which point they'll be released to ravage the world and kill everyone, which would probably be enough to ruin my Sunday afternoon if I'm being frank. Even though I'm not frank, I'm stoic stick. It is also stated that there are so many of them that when the first begins to drink from a lake, that by the time the last one passes, the lake will have dried up. The lake referenced is Lake Tiberias, which contains around 4 cubic kilometers of water, which is 4 trillion liters. If we say each can drink the maximum volume of their stomachs and drink around 2 liters, it would mean that there are around 2 trillion of them, which, if true, seems like they would mog all world governments pretty easily. According to the science, TM, Neanderthals disappeared from Europe around 40,000 years ago, so could it be that they were all localized into one area and trapped underground awaiting their day of revenge? Maybe. Well, I'd say, in all likeliness, most likely no. There's a lot of conflicting evidence that points to Neanderthals not being the great horde referenced in scriptures, but that would require me to admit that I'm wrong, so I'm not going to go into those reasons. Side note, but I have to say that we Persians knew how to really draw demons, because every time I research something about them, such as for my horoscope conspiracy video, I find drawings like these that just give me that weird uncanny valley feeling. Like, why do they keep drawing demons like that? Anyway, I still subscribe to the first part of this theory just because it makes a lot of sense and because it's a great conversation starter. On a first date, just casually bring up the fact that trillions of Neanderthals are about to emerge and eat and kill all the humans in the world. They won't be able to call you boring, even if they do wheel you off to a psychiatric facility. And just remember that the next time you see someone that looks just a little off, remember that they may be a Neanderthal / ancient Abrahamic tribesman set on eating your flesh and ruling the world. So yeah, that's just something to keep in mind. Anyways, if you liked the video, consider liking and subscribing, but other than that, thanks for watching, hope to see you in the next video. Bye.